Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Members, once again, welcome back. Now, I'd like us to actually dedicate this very moment in time to address the elephant in the room, Nasdaq. Now, what is Nasdaq? Nasdaq, also often called NAS 100 or the US Tech 100, is actually what we're going to be discussing in today's episode. And I want you guys to take some pen and a paper and record this lesson, even though you got the video, but you need to put this thing in your mind at the forefront of your thinking processes in order for you to assimilate this information. Now, Nasdaq simply refers to a global electronic marketplace for selling and buying securities. It operates 29 markets. When you talk about 29 markets, you know what you're referring to? Nasdaq has different markets. It can be either they're executing commodity market, cryptocurrency market, or they're also even executing stock indices market. It has one clearinghouse and 5 central securities depositories in the United States and also further in Europe as well. So 100 of the world's technology giants are listed on the Nasdaq. What are we referring to when we say 100 of the world's technology giants? We're referring to 100 publicly traded technology companies in the United States of America, which are the giants. So there could be thousands of technology giants in the USA, but 100 only are selected. So it was listed officially for public trading on the 8th of February, the year 1971. So if you are to look at the charts of Nasdaq, you'll see that it predates to 1971. That's not a coincidence because 1965, that's when the Forex market system came into being through the agreement of different countries all across the world. That came into what you call a Bretton Woods system. That was a treaty, an agreement to have the Forex market. So Nasdaq, it was actually the world's first automated stock exchange, not a currency exchange, but a stock exchange. So there are actually more than 5,000 companies that are listed and traded on the exchange on a daily and a regular basis. Guys, if you want me to highlight this, I'm definitely going to do it right now, just in a second. Just to give you a brief overview of what you've covered. We said Nasdaq is actually a, hold on. We said Nasdaq is actually a global electronic marketplace for buying and for selling securities. Now, what are securities? We're going to delve into that just in a second. We said it operates 29 markets, one clearinghouse, and actually 5 central securities depositories in the United States of America and Europe. 100 of the world's technology giants are listed on the Nasdaq, and it was officially given to the public to trade it around, in fact, exactly on February the 8th of 1971. And it was the world's first automated stock exchange, and there are more than 5,000 companies that are listed and traded on a daily and a regular basis on the Nasdaq exchange. Look, let's just say this. Let's say we go to our charts, not even our charts. Here's our Nasdaq chart. Let's just go to Google and let's just actually search Nasdaq. Then we go to pictures. When you go to pictures, you see pictures like this. Let me highlight it so you guys can see. Okay, but when you see a picture like this, you can see that here they're trading more than just one exchange. They have 29 different sorts of markets. They are always executing 100 to 5,000 companies on a daily and a regular basis. So that's what Nasdaq is. But NAS 100, because a Nasdaq is an exchange, it's where they're trading more than just 100 companies. But when you trade NAS 100, or actually US Tech 100, you're only trading the 100 technology giants, including Apple, Microsoft, Google, Facebook, Tesla, Amazon. You understand? Now let's go to the charts, because we'll touch into that later on. There'll be more we're going to be talking about when it comes into Nasdaq overall. But what I want us to look at is the charts. They said Nasdaq predated 1970s. This is actually our monthly time frame on Nasdaq. Let's look at when it was initially or publicly offered. It was actually offered first at the year for the charts on TradingView it was offered, it became mostly popular on the year 2014. So most people who started trading Nasdaq, they started trading it on 2014 because that's where and how far you can go on the charts that you see on your trading view or even your MetaTrader, right? At that time, it was moving around 3,800 to 3,900. Right now, it's moving at 21,966. Over here, there's some key points. Let's look at the recent high from the current high where we are. Because where we are right now, we are on 21. But which other high did we actually manage to meet before we actually made it to where we currently are? It's actually this specific key zone over here. And this line perfectly aligns with 16,509 on the chart, which we are moving above it. We're no longer on 16,000. We are now on 21,085 for the Nasdaq market. Okay, 100 publicly traded technology giants in the US that are traded and listed on an exchange that trades well over 5,000 big companies in the United States of America, which are publicly traded, right? Okay, cool. Here's the key takeaway. When you zoom in on the monthly time frame on Nasdaq, what you'll notice so far is that the current month, let's look at this. The current month, let's highlight it from the opening to the high. So here's our current month candlestick where we are. Let's actually give it a low, and then this low will mark it right where the low is at, and then we'll give it a totally different color. Let's give it yellow. Yellow is fine. And then even on top, we're going to give it a yellow because we want to see exactly the range. Here, we're just highlighting the range of our monthly current candlestick. This candlestick on its own, it opened low, and the low it opened at is actually at, let me just highlight it again just for a second and for record purposes. It's actually at 19,894. That's where it opened. That's the lowest. You know why I'm saying is the lowest? Because let's look at the recent high. The recent high is actually right here, which is almost above 20,600 and 20,500. So if our current monthly candlestick opened in 19, it opened lower than the previous high. How high did it manage to go? It managed to go as high as 21,222, 23, right? And now we are currently moving at 21,082. So let's just say 180, 120 points down compared to the high and the peak we've managed to reach on this monthly time frame. So what is actually often more left for us as traders? What are we supposed to do with this information? What we're going to do, we're going to actually remove overall that rectangular region which we have highlighted, and we're going to take into consideration what the market makers say. And what is it that you guys know about the market makers? Just in case you didn't know, I'm going to tell you today. The market makers says, especially when it comes into candlestick volume and liquidity, they say that the current high or the current low is worth less the previous lows. Now, where is our previous lows over here? Yes, obviously, we are on an upward trend. And then where is our previous closing? Let me just show you this just in a second. I'm going to highlight this in terms of like rectangular, or no, circular shapes. I'm going to use circular shapes for this one. I'll give it the color orange, is fine. So this is one of our previous lows. But compared to the like candlestick near the one where we're currently on, here is our previous close, right? You can see that the first one actually has a higher region than the recent one. So if I was to plot that from there to the next one, you can see we're having two connecting points. We just don't have a third connecting point to give us a trend. But according to the market makers, the current high or low is worth what? It's worth less the previous lows. If that's the case, let's highlight this point. If that's the case, then this current high, I'm going to give it the color red. So this current high that you're on, this one here, you see, it's actually worth less the previous lows, and our previous closings are right at this point. If we are to look at where they are perfectly aligned to, they are perfectly aligned to the key region of 20,721. So even though we are above those points, that point that you are high at, it's worth less the previous closing, which means this big candlestick on the monthly it might still comes back and close below because it's worth less. It hasn't closed yet. And when is the month gonna close? Today is actually the overall 14th. We still have about 16 to actually 17 more days before this month actually ends. What are the chances that we're gonna pull back on this candlestick and maybe close on a lower point? That lower point might actually even be a candlestick that dips. You know what I mean when I say dips? I mean that sells even beneath the previous low. This candlestick, it might close somewhere here, and the next one might take off and go further downwards below the 19,500 region. And that will mean a big amount of money for those who are trading Nasdaq. But then again, why am I also stressing the importance of the current high or the current low worth being less? It's due to the fact that if you look at this on the monthly, man, we've been on a steady upward trend. And let me tell you this, let's look at another key level, which is actually one of our lowest key level. This one over here, $10,000 region. I'm going to give it the color. This one I'm going to give it red. Allow me to paint it for red. And then the next one near that, I'm going to paint it. This one I'm going to paint it. What color can I choose? Let me choose gray or white. Cool. So you see down here, we are actually having a key level. I'm going to highlight them with a circular shape just in a second. Okay, so here we have this key level. We have this key level. I'm going to highlight them also even on this side as well, alongside with this one too, right? So you have 7,152 and you have 10,616. So what is happening right there? What is it that I'm trying to actually direct your attention to? What I'm trying to indicate to you is that if you look at the lowest point we have, this one here, it was only lasting at 2020. So when the stock market was crashing, the lowest it went, it was 6,000 points. Right now it's 21,000 points above. So if it was 6,000 points, it took off from there onwards after COVID and reached the ultimate peak, which is this one here at 16,500. Came back to retest the nearest low, which was actually exactly on the 1 month time frame to 10,660. Now it's at the peak because we are actually on some very interesting news event or political climate. Donald Trump is the second president on a consecutive period of about 10 to 11 years. And he's actually a 47th president of the United States of America. We are at the peak. This market is actually, according to what I see, Nasdaq is about to actually retrace because it's on the ultimate high and come back and retest the 16,500 and even possibly the point of origin at 10,660 before it's to continue the upward trend. This might take a year for it to drop. So the first target might take 6 months to 16,000, and then to 10,000, it might take another 6 months. After that, we'll be having another 3 to 4 years of a bullish sentiment that will continue above the 21,000, because the 21,000, if we zoom out on the entire structure of this market overall, we will see that ever since it was publicly offered, Nasdaq has never been where it is right now. So there will be a high possibility of a retracement. Can you conclude that the retracement is going to take place right on this overall monthly time frame? I'm a little bit skeptical. I don't think it's going to take place on this monthly time frame. Let's go to weekly right now. So 1 week. So we switch to 1 week, and on 1 week is almost kind of similar to the same structure we've seen on our monthly time frame. But what is actually a little bit, unique or peculiar over here is due to the fact that the weekly time frame is starting to show up not only a bullish sentiment, but the current week open high, and it seems to be bearish because our bearish candlesticks, they are purple on this chart, right? So the weekly seems to be bearish. Let's switch to a 1 day. Let's see, because the weekly more often looks like the monthly. So the daily time frame says that we are on a bullish sentiment. So we won't reverse just right at 21,222. We still have a possibility to reach as high as 22,000. Let's put a line right up there on 22,000, right? And this one I can give it the color because it's going to be our target region. Let's give it a peculiar color like pink, and maybe let's make it a little bit bigger so it can stick out, right? So 22,000, it seems like Nasdaq is going to push from where it's at to 22,000 before that drop I've actually highlighted on the bigger time frame can unfold. Now let's look at the 4 hour. The 4 hour is also still screaming like a bullish sentiment, to be honest with you, because if you take into consideration the channel of consolidation we've been on, you can see over here we've been having an equal high and equal low type of a region. And this equal high and equal low, it just simply indicates the fact that, let me just highlight it with the color red. And then in between, I can just highlight it with the color. Let's make it more blacker. So yeah, so you can see more just simply of a box. So what I actually just want to actually highlight for you guys is this. For Nasdaq, this pretty much what it's screaming is that we have an equal touch on the low, equal touch on the high, equal touch on the low, equal touch on the high, and most probably we're supposed to be having another one here and another one there. But based on the structure, it keeps on failing to break the lower part, and already we are on an uptrend. So there's a high possibility over here that the next possible structure we are to expect is that this price right from where it's at, it might go up to 21,200 and then it comes back to retest this low within the channel up until eventually takes off to 22,000 region. From 22, that's when you're supposed to expect some crazy drops, which can make you some huge amount of money. But to wait for those, they might take some time. They may take some days, weeks. And that's why for time being, we're supposed to be aiming for the next possible target from where we are at 22,000. In fact, I can put like a region to highlight how low you should not go below. So for right now, where Nasdaq is at, we're not supposed to move below this zone. 20,900, we're not supposed. If you move below that, then the drop we're waiting for, it might have already been triggered. But if you are above this point, it means you are all gearing and heading to the upside. 22,000 to the moon before you can have that sharp and steady dip to the downside, because we are on the all-time high. But they're not just going to let it easy like that, because this market is controlled and manipulated by the market makers, the top elites, the bureaucracies, the people at the top of the food chain. And that this market, 100 publicly traded giant tech companies in the US, is them. It's Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk. So to work along with them, you got to understand, I've been trading this market ever since 7 years ago. I can promise you, this analysis is going to unfold exactly as I've said. If you are trading it and you had a different analysis or you have a similar analysis and you're still looking for some more questions and you want to gain more clarity on it, please holler at me. If you want to know how long you should wait for it before you can trigger, if you want to know how to adapt yourself to it, more other strategies, because this is just like a very brief analysis. There's still more I'm still going to cover with you guys, provided if you start following from now. Follow this pair and this analysis like I'm saying, because the opportunity we are preparing for is going to be enormous. It's going to be gigantic. And I hope to see you guys on the next episode. And I'm looking forward to getting your questions and your interest and your curiosity or inquisitiveness on how you can analyze this pair and how you can best align yourself with the best probability setup on this pair to make the most amount of money you can possibly ever make. I'll see you in the next episode, members. Stay blessed, stay level-headed, and stay tuned up. Shalom.